I think very importantly and symbolically.
Does that mean there will be something? I'm trying to read between the lines because I'm not getting it.
Well, again, I'm not.
The house is coming back here soon. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today it is nonstop with the endless scandals here. So we've got Rebel News putting in an access to information request when Justin Trudeau allowed Chinese troops to train with Canadian troops. It was a very bizarre moment because, like, why would we do that? Are we compromised by China? Well, it turns out they put in that request 4 years ago when this happened, and they're just getting an answer to this now. And it appears they don't want to give this information up. We also got Stephen McKinnon on Vasi Capello's show. We've got new polling data. We got CBC caught in another lie. Let's jump into this. So starting this one off, we've got polling data coming from Abacus data. 41% Liberals, 40% Conservatives. This is getting tighter. NDP has moved up a little bit here to 8%, and the Greens have moved up a bit. We don't know why, but they have apparently according to this poll. Here's a breakdown by province, and here's breakdown by age, by gender, and by education level, which is interesting. High school or less, college, and university. University, 50%. It's funny how people get more university educated, they lose common sense. It's interesting how that works out. And according to this moving poll here, Canada's now moving in a good direction. Top issues, 61% for cost of living. Donald Trump is 43% at number 2. The economy's number 3. Chinese election interference is only 2%. Amazing. Take a look at this one here. Best able to address the top issues Canada's facing. This is why the Conservatives lost the election. Donald Trump and his administration, 65% of people from this survey think that the Liberals are better suited to deal with Donald Trump. It's just funny. The Liberals have no idea. They didn't educate themselves before the election. Elbows up Mark Carney, not getting a deal done. Where's his deal? Whole lot of talk, no action though. Only 17% of these people surveyed think the Conservatives would have been better suited to deal with Donald Trump. It's funny though, if you look at basically every other category, the Conservatives are leading to deal with all of these issues. Funny how that works out. Except for threat posed by China and Russia. You just can't make this stuff up. China was quite literally trying to help Mark Carney win the election. You had the whole bounty capture situation. Mark Carney meeting with the JCCC, pro-Beijing group, multiple ties to the United Front Work Department, directly connected to the CCP. And the people from this survey think that the Liberals are better to deal with the threat posed from China. Like, our country is so unbelievably brainwashed. It's just outrageous. 46% think the Liberals are better to deal with China and Russia. Absurd. As well as Chinese election interference, 35 to 33. I'm just disappointed that Canadians are so poorly educated on the issues in our country. Obviously not any of you watching this, but the sheep that we have in our country that have their head in the sand. And look at this government approval chart. So this is disapproval. The red, Mark Carney becomes PM, and then it drops down to 24, and now they 50% approve of what the government's doing. Carney hasn't done anything. And impression of Mark Carney. So it is still going up, I guess 49%. Once again, people are not educated on who he is. Impressions of Pierre Poilievre, so it's bouncing around here, floating around 40%. Impressions of Donald Trump. This is a disapproval line rising here. Next up, we got this article from CBC saying BC expected to play an extremely important role as federal NDP faces uncertain future. Kelowna, BC resident and former federal NDP candidate Cade Desjardins said parties in disarray. Also said it's almost like the final frontier for the NDP out here. This goes on to show some graphics here. Western rebuild. Yeah, right. The NDP is done. So it goes on to mention here, Canadians have voted NDP in the past. They may do so again if the right leader comes along. I do agree with that. If they get the right leader that strikes a chord with those people, they'd probably leave the Liberals and vote for NDP again. It says that the top front runners here are Rachel Notley and Edmonton Strathcona MP Heather McPherson. I think she's going to win. I think she'll be the next leader, but who knows? We'll see who runs, who wants to be leader. David Eby has ruled himself out, but he hopes the future leader will look to his administration and that of Canoe for inspiration on how to form government and approach key policy questions. I can't say that was a straight face. How to form government, David Eby. We're not going to talk about that on the channel, but you know as full as well as I know, the election David Eby won, not exactly a shining example of how to win an election. I think really if Wab Canoe stepped in there, he could probably rebuild the party, bring back some of that support. NDP supporters love that guy. Jumping over to CTV, we got Stephen McKinnon here taking some questions from Vasi Capello's. He doesn't really answer anything. He's very nebulous, but listen to just the start of this here.
Thanks for making the time.
It's great to be with you.
What can Canadians expect from your government that will differentiate it from the last session?
Well, let's remember the last session. Paralysis, filibuster, long procedural debates. I think Canadians are fed up with that. They're demanding action. They're demanding results. And those are
We're demanding to see the SDTC documents, the documents you guys have been hiding, the corruption, the scandals, the $600 million. I've seen some reports up to $800 million of our tax dollars funneled through green, sustainable projects to well-connected liberal insiders. And often a lot of these companies didn't even have to prove that they improved efficiency, sustainability, more eco-greenness to their companies. They didn't have to prove anything. They just got hundreds of millions of dollars for free from the government because they're well-connected insiders. This has to be addressed and people need to go to jail. That is what has to happen. Why is Christian Firth a Rive scam? That whole thing, why is he not in jail?
Are things that we intend to deliver for Canadians. We have, I think, a very focused set of priorities, but priorities nonetheless. We want to get work done, and we want to get results for Canadians. For example, income tax cut. Yes, every Canadian who pays income.
So they want to move on to this 1% income tax cut and forget about the hundreds of millions of dollars that they funneled to well-connected insiders. I don't think so. That's not how this is going to work. You guys have to answer for your crimes against us. We need to know who was involved, exactly how much money, and people need to go to jail. They go on to talk about the carbon tax. They say they have no plan of bringing back the carbon tax. Talking about the king, the throne speech, all that stuff will be happening here. Moving towards the end of this interview, they talk about C-69, the emissions cap, and whether that will be repealed, because Mark Carney has flip-flopped on this numerous times.
Is there any intention to repeal any of those things from a legislative perspective?
What I think the intention of Mr. Carney is, and his interview with you, Mr. Hodgson's speech on Friday in Calgary, very much stand as the intentions of the government. That will manifest itself in many, many ways. Energy, renewable and conventional, is a very complex area, regulated heavily at the provincial level, regulated somewhat at the federal level. Mr. Carney is going to meet the premiers, I think very importantly and symbolically, in Saskatoon on June the 1st. These discussions are ongoing. What form any of these things take, I think will be very, very consistent with the themes and the intentions that the Prime Minister
Word salad, he's not going to answer the question.
Laid out for you.
Does that mean there will be something? I'm trying to read between the lines because I'm not getting it.
Well, again, I'm not going to speculate. What I'm going to do is let the Natural Resources Minister take a breath. He's given a very important speech. I'm going to let he and the Prime Minister work through the various things that add up to making real the vision that they've laid out.
Moving on to the next segment here, we've got Chinese military training. Remember that back when Justin Trudeau let our troops train the Chinese military in Canada? Well, Rebel News did an access to information request. They requested this information 4 years ago, and just now they're getting back to them and giving them a very short timeline here of a couple days to respond. Otherwise, they're just going to close the ticket and not give them the documents. They're clearly trying to hide what happened here 3 or 4 years ago. So the story I'm talking about here is this one. This is from 2001, military exercises with the People's Liberation Army. Why? Why would we do this? So this is just, you can see here, January 15th, 2001. This is from the government's website, not much there. Got this one on Global News. Canadian soldiers no longer training Chinese troops, Defense Minister says. This one was posted just a month earlier. A report by the Globe and Mail on Thursday cited documents mistakenly released under the Access to Information laws, which said Global Affairs Canada pushed back at the decision of the Chief of Defense last year to cancel the training. The training was set to see Canadian soldiers train Chinese soldiers in winter activities at CFB Petawawa. And we got this one here. This is coming from November 15th, 2022. Why Ottawa let Chinese forces attend military sciences meet in Canada. The episode underscores a thorny question of cooperation between military personnel of nations increasingly seen in geopolitical adversaries. And we got this bombshell one here in Daily Mail. Justin Trudeau invited China's People's Liberation Army to train troops in Canada, according to top secret documents published by Canadian conservative news sites, which claim they were sending spies, not just soldiers, to train. So 34-page access to information requests released to Rebel News and the Globe and Mail. This is disgraceful stuff. Rebel News did an access to information request. It took 4 years. This is what happened.
We asked for records detailing all training exercises involving the Chinese military on Canadian soil since 2015. That includes how many PLA personnel were here, what they did, where they stayed, and how much it costs. Oh, and what ranks they held. And what did we get? 4.5 years later, we got a pathetic, mealy-mouthed email from Global Affairs Canada asking if we'd just like to forget the whole thing. The email says, and I quote, "Due to an overwhelming number of requests and a considerable amount of work that remains to be conducted, kindly confirm if, with the passage of time, you are still interested in receiving the information or if you opt to abandon the request." Translation, we hope you've forgotten what you asked for because we sure as hell haven't prepared an answer for you. They also added, should we not receive a response by May 27, it will be our understanding that you are no longer interested in pursuing the request and that we may close the file, which will reduce our backlog. So just to be clear, they are threatening to close a legally filed request if we don't jump through some new hoops, even though they've already taken an illegal 380-day extension way back in January of 2021. Let me be blunt. This delay is unlawful.
So Global Affairs Canada, breaking the law, doesn't want to release this information. These liberals are all the same. I mean, Brent posting this Mark Carney question about ethics, and he's saying it's in his head. This is just absurd.
And so I will now, against the advice of my advisors, let it out of my head, which is, I do think looking at access to information is quite important. The speed with which the information is provided, and as you say, the redactions that I think, I'm happy to commit to having a review of that.
Yeah, the speed of which they're provided, 4 years, and then they don't provide it. Another thing going on here today, we've got Toronto's Walk with Israel. So apparently 56,000 people came out. This is wild. As this one says, no threats, no hate, no intimidation, no mayor. That's right, Olivia Chow not showing up for this one. But these people did show up. I'm not going to play any of this footage because these hummus people always get my channel in trouble. But it says Toronto Police allowed the hummus supporters at the Walk with Israel. It's funny how whenever they have a protest, no one else is allowed near them. But when the Jewish community has their own parade, their own gathering, then these people are allowed to come and try to stir up stuff, yell and hoot and holler and all the stuff they do. We've got Pierre Poilievre posting this one. It says we must secure our borders and shut down the terror lord threats. After a decade of weak liberal policies, the terror lords and criminals feel emboldened. It's time to put the security of the people first. And this comes from this Global News article here. It says in briefing to Minister, RCMP warns of 488% jump in terror lord charges. So the number of terror lord charges laid in Canada jumped 488% in the last year amidst the rising bad time stuff. The RCMP ministerial briefing binder posted on the government website this week said these terror lord bad times events remained a prominent national security threat. Canadian police have foiled 6 T-word plots in the last 12 months alone. Is this elbows up? And with that, I'm not going to play these videos anymore. I'll just show you still frame. But this is a mob blocking food from entering Ontario Food Terminal. They're literally blocking Canadian food sources. They're all standing on the street here. In this video, there's a bunch of semi-trucks here with food, and these people are blocking it from getting to Canadians. This has to end. This is a threat to our country. If they want to peacefully protest standing on the sidewalk, that is protected by law, but blocking major infrastructure is against the law and should be punished with the fullest extent of the law. They should be in jail. This one here coming from David Eby, it says Western Canada is going to be an economic engine of the country. The premiers of Canada's western provinces and territories are ready to rise to the occasion. Except David Eby's already said he won't participate in Northern Gateway. He won't allow Danielle Smith in Alberta to go forward with that project.
The feeling I had around the table is that all the premiers recognize that this is the moment for Western Canada, that we are going to be the engine that drives the Canadian economy for the foreseeable future. And that if we're going to realize our potential, if we're going to ensure that we realize the vision and the responsibility, frankly, to all Canadians that comes with that series of opportunities that are in front of us right now, we have to work together. And there is no worse time for us to get dragged into conversations about splitting up the country or this kind of thing than right now when in front of us is all this amazing opportunity. I was so honored to be a part of this table at this moment with these premiers that all see the opportunity. And when you look at this communique and the work that we did together and everybody agreeing and understanding the moment in front of us, whether it's around
This guy is such a windbag. He's a windbag. He's not going to participate in Canadian prosperity. He already came out and said it today.
National security, or whether it's around energy, or whether it's around resources, or whatever it is, we're working together, and we're working together for Canadians, and made me profoundly proud.
Oh, really? Does this make him profoundly proud, BC Premier not backing Alberta's proposal to revive Northern Gateway? Eby was quick to steer the discussion to points of agreement when asked about Northern Gateway Thursday at the Western Premiers Conference in Yellowknife. I know Danielle's priorities is to get heavy oil to Tidewater. She's very unambiguous about that. My priority is decarbonize and drive our economy in British Columbia, said Eby, who happened to be seated next to Smith in the conference ending media availability. Northern Gateway was terminated in 2016 by Justin Trudeau, 1 year after he ordered a moratorium on crude oil tanker traffic off of BC's north coast. Eby said he was adverse to opening up the pristine north coast to tanker traffic, especially with the new Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion, TMX, not filled to capacity. It's almost filled to capacity. What's with these guys? They can look up the statistics themselves right on the government's website. This is preposterous. David Eby does not give a crap about Canadians at all. He's got his climate agenda. I mean, look at Danielle Smith's face. She is not happy with him. Next up, we got Melanie Joly. Listen to what she says here.
Really attracting the best talent in the world. We have an opportunity that we've never seen since the Vietnam War to attract the best and the brightest, particularly coming from south of the border, and we will make sure that we seize this opportunity.
Since the Vietnam event, that's why Carney moved Brookfield to the U.S. As incompetent as every ministry she's ever served, how can she attract the best and or the brightest? It's absurd. Talking about the Vietnam event, they brought in the best and the brightest. Like, she's absolutely nuts. Next up, we got an update here on this situation, the Ostrich farm. So this article came out from the CBC saying RCMP speak to protesters at BC Ostrich farm, warn of possible arrests as bird cull looms. Now, I can tell you straight up, this is a load of crap. This is not true. This is propaganda. And the RCMP have requested that this article get taken down by the CBC as this is propaganda. I know this because I've got boots on the ground over there telling me this. Not only that, I have a video here sent to me from the Ostrich farm with the RCMP down there. This is what they had to say.
Everything's good. So these are our liaisons, please, and we want to give them a round of applause because we want their support. And we want them, they know what we're going through, and we want, if it's just a wellness thing, I want to have faith that you guys are really just here doing that, and that you want to see the best thing come out of this too.
Yep.
And
we've been given no instruction to do anything but to talk to you guys.
Hey.
Yep.
We've been given no instruction other than to talk to you guys. That's what the police just said.
What food we got this morning?
Bacon and eggers with cheese, yogurt, bananas, muffins, oranges.
How much does all this cost for the people that are eating it?
It was donated. Yeah.
Free?
Free. All free.
Free is for me.
So they're still rallying people out there. I think there's about 20 or so people at the farm right now trying to protect against this gross overreach of power by the government, being supported by this propaganda from the CBC. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency needs to take a hike. That's what they need to do.